Hi, Dr. Amy here. Today we're going to talk about a different deflection and how it specifically relates to academics. So in the other videos, we've been talking a lot about things we know, brain development, things that impact brain development, deflections in brain development, what behaviors tell us about where we are in brain development, and then what we do about it to help facilitate more whole brain function to accommodate more efficient processing of our world. What I want to talk about today is how all of this relates to academics, or can relate to academics. Now, it's not a simple one-size-fits-all, but I'm going to give you a lot of lessons in here that help you start to put the pieces together for what's happening with your participant or your child, or maybe yourself. So today I want to talk about academics. So when we refer back to one of the last videos where we're talking about the efficient movement through brain development or inefficient movement through brain development, we understand that there's a way in which the brain develops: bottom up, back to front, inside out, right to left. We also understand that as we do that, we become more sophisticated in the tools we have to process our world. We also know that if we have less efficient tools, that's going to create some deflective behavior, and those are the things that usually people are struggling with. So let's talk about what that looks like in a classroom. Let's say that we have an individual that's not there yet in full brain processing. Their primary seat of attention is not in visual cognition, and we have them in a classroom. So let's say that this individual, for the sake of this video, its primary tools are movement touch and auditory verbal. So again, their primary ways of processing are moving their bodies around, touching things, and making noises. Now, with this participant, we say, well, you're at the chronological age where you need to be in this grade of a classroom. So we say, okay, go into the classroom, and what do we do in a classroom? In a classroom, we say, sit, stop moving, stop making noises, and, oh, by the way, take this really complex visual data, really abstract visual data, letters, alphabet, numbers even, and I want you to take this complex abstract visual data, turn it into pictures in your brain, reading, and then have appropriate either language to tell me what the symbols mean, what the pictures are in your brain, and get the pictures in teacher's brain or anyone else's brain. So reading and then speaking, or reading and then create your own symbols, abstract complex symbols, to create imagery in somebody else's brain. Well, here we have an individual who's not there yet, whatever age they are, and their primary tools are movement, touch, auditory, verbal, not super efficient. Maybe they're there a little bit, most likely, but not super efficient at visually processing. And then we're taking one of the most complex visual cognitive tasks, academics, and we're trying to get them to perform that. What are you going to see? What is going to happen in this scenario? Well, across the board, you're going to see avoidance. You're going to see avoidance, pushback, no, I don't want to. And this could be at preschool, by the way. It could be at kindergarten, it could be at 6th grade, it could be in high school. It could be at work. And so what do we see? We see avoidance. I don't have the tools. The demand is here. My tools are here. There's a gap. Whenever we see a gap, we see deflective behavior. So we're always going to see avoidance. Then you're typically going to see one of two things. You're going to see the behavior of, no way, I'm just going to deflect, and I'm going to go into the tools that I have. I'm going to be hyperactive. I'm going to be squirming around. I'm going to be throwing pencils at the kid next to me. I'm going to be talking. That's this. And in that scenario, we have the child who gets pegged as, wow, they're just hyperactive. Maybe they have ADHD. They just are not paying attention. They're distracting other kids. I cannot get them to focus in class. And the more we try to drill demand here, push demand, the more deflected they become. Or you can see a different scenario. Demand here, pushing, tools here, gap. So we're going to see deflective behaviors because we don't have the tools to meet this demand. And you can see this scenario where you have an introverted kid who's more like, okay, I'm trying, I'm going to pull it together, I'm going to try until I can't try anymore, right? And so we have the kid who has the tummy aches at school, or is under the desk crying and getting calls home. Or we get, they try and they hold it together all day long at school and they're doing great, and the teachers are like, really super sweet kid, just has to work really hard and isn't quite getting it. But then he gets home and mom and dad are like, I don't know what kid you're talking about, because as soon as he gets home, he explodes or she explodes on his brother or sister or kicks a hole in the wall, huge emotional outburst. So this is a child who's trying to work really, really hard all day long, even though the tools that they possess to process their world do not match up appropriately at this point with the demand being placed on them. Academically, socially, movement-wise, in the way that they process their world. And so we just can't do it. We just cannot keep it together. And then these are the children that eventually we start to see, things like, they have severe anxiety or phobias, or they start to reduce the complexity of their world down to like a movement touch. So they start to engage in OCD or OCD type behavior, compulsive behavior. They're reducing the complexity of their world into something they can control, and they are engaging in that only. And so when the stress goes up because the demand is up, they retreat. This is a very common presentation, and what we need to understand is there's a reason for behavior. It is our job to understand what is happening there, and what we're doing in Brain Blossom is we're just looking at where we are in that developmental trajectory. What are the tools that we have that we're efficient in using to process, and where are we, and what do we need to help this individual move to more whole brain processing? What exercises, cognitive games, visualizations can we do to help them move towards more whole brain processing, so then their tools can match the demand of life? Hopefully that helped. Obviously, there's many different scenarios of that. Those are two really broad examples, but most people can understand and start to draw conclusions and understanding about what's happening with their participant based on these examples. Remember, there is always a reason for behavior, and we are here to help fill the gaps, to help improve the expression of life.